Which RPG has the most jaw-dropping layout? Like many questions this month, I can't answer this by naming one game. Most is such a subjective, most jaw-dropping is too subjective. Such a subjective question. And I know that's by design. So I'll talk about layouts that I have found interesting and that have caught my eye or did make my jaw actually drop. The very first layout that I took note of, for it being a clean layout that still managed to be beautiful, actually, was the layout for Monte Cook's Arcana Evolved from Malhavoc Press, which was his first publishing imprint. It had this clean white background, color-coded headers, beautiful art throughout, and it was a great book to read through and to reference. It was easy on the eyes and easy to go through. That was probably the first one. The first book where my jaw literally dropped from the layout of the book was Eclipse Phase. Now, the layout artist for that book is Adam Jury, and he's one of the three layout people that I can name that I always expect a good-looking product from automatically. Just by hearing their name, I know it's going to be good. Eclipse Phase, I opened that book and just lost it a little bit. I was just giddy over how good it looked and how well the design of the book evoked in me what Eclipse Phase was going for. The next one is probably going to be Dungeon Crawl Classics. In fact, now that I've said it, it is going to be Dungeon Crawl Classics. I've talked about the layout already this month when talking about the art, because the layout of Dungeon Crawl Classics is intertwined with the art in many places. There is art used for framing many of the pages, art used as a background for instance, the table of contents, and that's Joseph Goodman. You're probably not going to see him laying out books for anybody other than Goodman Games, but I know if Joe Goodman did the layout on a book, it's going to be gorgeous. What really gets me about the Dungeons & Crawl Classics layout is it manages to have this cutting-edge look while also looking like an old school product. And that speaks to the overall art direction of the book, to include the art, the page design, the layout, all that stuff. It's all such an amazing feat, I think. So Dungeon Crawl Classics. The next one is not a book that was jaw-dropping for its beauty, but jaw-dropping for having a clear understanding of the value of usability of a book. And that one is the Fate Core layout. It's got a lot of white space. I like the way there are page references in the marginalia. I like that even though it's black and white, it manages to be beautiful enough to keep you enticed into wanting to read it. And it's just was a great job. Now, funny thing about that, and I may have said this some other time this month, but if you look at the 192-page Savage Worlds Deluxe in either the Explorers Edition or the hardback edition, that book has about the same word count as the 300 plus page Fate Core. But I think the trade-off is reasonable. Fate Core is hardcover versus softcover. It's black and white versus color. And the price is higher because of the size of the book and the fact that it's hardcover, even though it's not a color book. There's a lot of reasons for pricing. I'm not even going to get into that. But the bottom line is, I think the trade-offs make Fate Core a superior book. That's just my 2 cents. And now that you've taken your jaw off the floor because I said something that was not glowing about Savage Worlds, I'm going to talk about another Evil Hat book. And this was another one that was jaw-dropping. This one's interesting because I first heard about this on my podcast when Fred Hicks and Rob Donahue were on the Games The Thing talking about Spirit of the Century and the upcoming Dresden Files. And when I saw it in practice, it just blew me away. The pages look like a notebook because in the Dresden Files universe, this book assumes that it's being written by a character in the Dresden Files universe and then being edited or proofread, checked over by multiple other people from the Dresden Files universe. And there are comments that are handwritten and oftentimes very funny. The layout's made to look like there have been sticky notes added, all kinds of things. I love it. It was inspired, and the color pages and beautiful art, I'm sure, help those books along. But the inspiration of having the notations in the book is really what makes that layout. That one's pretty cool. And then probably the newest book that I'll talk about, or books in this case, would I've actually first mentioned this book in a kind of a funny tweet where I said that thanks to Atlas Games, now all core books need to come wrapped in their own Game Master screen. And that's the new edition of Unknown Armies. Here's another name that you should keep your eyes out for when it comes to book layout and page design, and that is Thomas Deeney. In all honesty, I'm biased. I've known Thomas for many years. He used to live in Tucson. We founded the local organization that puts on our local convention, RinCon, together. We have many of the same friends. But anybody that looks at Unknown Armies is going to tell you that he's done a phenomenal job with those books. So, 2 of the 3 names I know do work for people other than just their own companies. So Adam Jury and Thomas Deeney, those 2 people are gonna get you where you need to go with a beautiful book if you're looking for someone to do your layout. But those are the books that I wanted to point out. There are others over the years and recently even that are gorgeous. But I guess another one I'd have to mention is the Star Trek Adventures book. That one is great because it's designed to look like the data pads and the touch screens from Star Trek The Next Generation. So that's cool too. Not super inspired. I mean, it's kind of a slam dunk, no-brainer type of a decision to make and lay out there, but it looked really nice. Anyway, that's it for this one. So until tomorrow, do good, avoid evil, and play more games.